have you guys done? What have you done? We weren't supposed to go this fast. tytnetwork.com/go. I said go, you went. So I'm not ready. Hold on. I don't want to tell you to tap the brakes, but there is someone on the board for tomorrow. There's no question about that. I think he's great. Let me see where we are. This is crazy. The last 2 days, I asked for 950. Wrong! 960 by today.
This is awesome, but I don't get it. Do you want them to slow down?
No. Oh, we moved it to 2 million. Okay, no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that part. No. Get to a million. Okay. So yesterday I was like, should I ask for 925,000 by showtime today? And then I was like, no, let's be bold. And plus, we only have 2 days left.
Right.
Let's go to 950. Right? Wrong. $960,018.
I remember the moment you asked for 950,000, and I did think that you were being a little too ambitious, to be honest with you. But I can't underestimate the power of TYT Army.
No, but that's exactly right, folks. Never underestimate TYT Nation.
You guys are amazing.
Too strong. I almost wore the Too Strong t-shirt today. I'm going to wear it tomorrow. Too strong. Okay, all right, now that you guys are on the warpath, okay, even though I'm a little panicked now about how we're going to do the announcement, when we're going to do the announcement, etc. Obviously, we got the all-day inauguration show tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m., going all the way to 9 p.m. Eastern. But can I see $1 million by the end of the show? Can I at least give you fireworks? Can I give you fireworks today? Is that possible? I don't know. I don't know, Larry. Okay, so $27 from Paulina in California, $127 from Hala in Florida, $127 from Carter from Georgia. You guys are awesome. The Watchers on the Wall. Oh, wait, the poll should be closed. Roofer's got to tell us in the next segment what won, Sword in the Darkness or Watchers on the Wall. That poll closed this morning. Oh, drums! We're going to find out later in the program. Are you kidding me? Okay, so tytnetwork.com/go. I still don't know if any of the cameras or the chairs or the studios or the studio desks have been named yet. So $5K for the cameras. You know how they endow chairs at universities? You can endow a chair at TYT for $5K. You could have Anna's famous backless chair with your name on it.
It's famous?
It's famous. Everybody knows it. Don't pretend you don't know it.
Yeah.
tytnetwork.com/go. Okay, and I have 1,000 other things, but we got a show to do, guys.
We do.
As always, there's all these favorite stories I have. But the wall of meat, the meat wall.
Yeah, there will be a meat wall at the inauguration. We will give you the details on that.
Trump's going to build a wall of meat and make you pay for it. Okay, you'll see. It's a hilarious story. All right, let's get going.
All right. Now that Donald Trump's inauguration is only 1 day away, there are some issues regarding unfilled positions within his administration. And the issue is that these positions have to do with our national security. Now, there were a number of reports that were basically reported by the New York Times and Politico, indicating that these unfilled positions are leaving individuals both in the Obama administration and the incoming Trump administration in a bit of a panic. Now, according to the New York Times, Mr. Trump's transition staff has barely engaged with the National Security Council below the most senior levels. His designated National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, has met 4 times with his Obama counterpart, Susan Rice, most recently on Tuesday afternoon. In Mr. Trump's case, the first contact with the National Security Council did not come until November 22nd, 2 weeks after Election Day. That delay was caused by the purge of the original transition team led by Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey. So essentially what's happening right now is every time there seems to be a little bit of progress in filling these seats, all of a sudden there's some sort of scandal or controversy. Monica Crowley is an example of that. What happened with Chris Christie was another example of that. And so the seamless transition between administrations, which is what usually happens, is not likely to happen in this case. Now, the Obama administration began meeting with the team after Thanksgiving, but its lack of clearances meant that Mr. Trump's emissaries could not read the materials that the Obama people had prepared for them. The National Security Council began creating unclassified versions of the papers. Now understand, they don't go through the necessary clearances, or they don't have time to go through the necessary clearances. How are you going to give them information that's classified? You can't. So again, the Obama administration had to spend all this time declassifying the info so these individuals could read them. Now, let's skip ahead to graphic 5. Sources close to the transition describe Trump's national security staffing as a black box, leaving everyone from the Obama administration officials to Trump job seekers and foreign diplomats guessing at who will land crucial positions, shaping policy and managing crises. This leaves a cadre of senior directors who run departments that develop policy on Asia, Western Europe, Russia, non-proliferation, and other areas. So this is going to be problematic. Again, it's not going to be a seamless transition. And for a party that claims that they're extremely tough on national security, you have to consider the fact that right now there aren't individuals necessary in the National Security Council or even the State Department below the highest level. Cenk, jump in.
Can I jump in now?
Jump in.
Okay. She warned me that she had to get through the whole story because there's a lot of details.
Yes.
So I'm chomping at the bit. Okay. No, I actually have something very simple to say. He's a clown. I told you. He's incompetent. I told you. So he doesn't care about the job. I told you. So he cares about winning. Winning. I want to be a winner. My daddy told me I was a loser, and so I need to be a winner to make myself feel better, right? Okay, now, all right, Donald, congratulations, you won the presidency. Okay, now you gotta, it's an enormous job. You have to staff all these positions, et cetera. He's like, yeah, when are the TV cameras? No, Donald, this doesn't have anything to do with TV. You have to actually do the job of hiring the people at the National Security Council. You know, the National Security Council, every time the president has a call with a foreign leader, they are supposed to give him a briefing memo. Like, so here's our situation with this country. Here's the past real quickly. You assume the president knows to some degree. With this president, that might be a little longer. But he has ADD, doesn't like to read, right? And then here's our current situation. Like, do you guys know what our current situation is with Botswana? I don't know, right?
Right.
I know the news really, really well, but I don't know where we stand with the foreign leader of Botswana. So if I was president, I'd want to know that. I'd want to staff up to make sure somebody could hand me the damn memo before I get the guy on the phone, because it might relate to our relations with South Africa, which is their neighbor, or maybe, who knows, Somalia, where we have significant interests, right?
Yes, yes.
So he is grossly unprepared, doesn't care. And in the beginning, look, I doubt we're going to have a foreign policy meltdown with Botswana. But there are a couple of things that could happen. One that could and one that will. One that could is, what if there's a bombing or something super important that happens immediately? You know how they talk about, like, oh, the president will get tested right away. They always say the Democrats, as if like Democrats are feckless, and they're like, oh my God, I got tested, I don't know what to do, right? And people like Hillary Clinton unfortunately reinforce that. Remember that as she ran against Obama, what will he do at 3 a.m.? Trump at 3 a.m., he's going to be coiffing his hair, he's going to be like, wait, where's my orange glow? What's going on, right? And he doesn't have anything prepared. So let's all cross our fingers that nothing happens until he gets staffed up, so but maybe at least some competent bureaucrats can know what to do and give him advice. But in the long run, this is going to keep on happening.
Yeah.
And when you have this kind of rotting infrastructure that is not stable, that has not been filled out, it always leads to disaster.
I'm concerned for a number of different reasons. So, first of all, consider all of the terrible things that are happening throughout the world right now. Of course, there's always the threat of ISIS. Everyone is very much concerned about radical Islam, and I completely understand that. But there are issues happening in a lot of major countries right now. So, for instance, the Philippines just elected a guy who believes in extrajudicial killings. How that impacts the United States, I mean, there's no connection now, but that's problematic, right? At the same time, you also have the issue of North Korea flirting with the idea of testing nuclear weapons aimed at the United States. Now, do I think they have that type of nuclear capability now? No, but is the Trump administration going to be prepared to deal with a situation like that? Right now, it doesn't seem like they would be.
See, he doesn't care about the job. If I was elected president, that would be a fun day and a very fascinating day. The first thing is I'd celebrate. I'd get unbelievably drunk. Because I can't believe I'm president of the United States. That's crazy, right? I'd take the weekend off, right? Then on Monday, I would hit the books so hard because I'd be so worried. My God, what if North Korea crosses the demilitarized zone, and then we've got a massive problem.
Yes.
I need to know the capabilities of the North Korean military. I know what they say, I know what I've heard in the news, but I need to know what's real to the best of our abilities so that we know how to respond. That responsibility is so enormous.
So there are two components of that, though, Cenk. Component number one is intel. Component number two is policy ideas. And unfortunately, at the moment, he doesn't trust or believe in our intelligence, right? He believes that it's too political, and so he wants to shuffle people around, maybe completely restructure our intelligence agencies. And then part two, regarding policy, he literally doesn't even have the staffing in place at the moment in order to deal with that situation. So yeah, North Korea is a problem, but if you want to focus on something that would be, or that would have, I guess, closer ramifications to us, just focused on geography. Right now, there are massive protests happening in Mexico. There's a lot of anger among the citizens of Mexico because of government corruption, because of what's happening with the cartels, because of rampant inflation and stagnant wages. So what is that going to lead to here in the United States? There are neighbors. These are all issues that you need experts and advisors to help you on. And unfortunately, he is not prepared personally, and he doesn't have the right team in place to get him prepared.
He has an Achilles heel that cannot be cured. He lacks intellectual curiosity. And in fact, when somebody who was interviewing for 5 hours, who wound up writing a book about it, asked him, hey, how come you never do any self-reflection? He said, I'm afraid of what I might find out. So a guy like that is a dangerous guy to have as president. He's going to be ill-prepared, and already we see it. And by the way, why is he so ill-prepared? Just to go back finally to what Anna started with, Chris Christie, he's a good soldier, I'm going to give it to him. Oh, there's palace intrigue, and my son-in-law doesn't like him because he prosecuted his dad. Okay, Chris, you're gone. All right, then I'm going to bring in Matthew Friedman. Oh, you got foreign lobbying ties. Oh, okay, well, I kind of like that, but I guess I'm not allowed. Okay, you're gone. And then another guy, and then another guy, and because they care more about politics, and they care about who was loyal, and they care about who's the guy that they got to make sure that they pay back the favor for, and stuff like that. Okay, look, that's supposed to be for Ambassador to Bahamas. It's not supposed to be for the National Security Council.
The people that he has named, high-level positions, members of his cabinet, are individuals who are insanely unqualified. I mean, Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State is a perfect example of that. He has no experience in the field that he has just been nominated for. And then you have a bunch of empty seats, a bunch of empty positions. So it is problematic. We'll see how it goes. There are supporters of Trump who claim that, oh, he's already made decisions, he just hasn't announced them yet. But that's the strategy that Trump claims to have for everything when it comes to his foreign policy. Foreign policy is so great, it'll make your head spin. No, but that's not good enough. Unfortunately, in this country, it's good enough to get you elected, but in the real world, it's not good enough.
I can't wait for Monday, because remember, he said on day one he would announce his strategy for defeating ISIS,
right,
which he was keeping in his back pocket during the election. I can't wait for the supplies. Here it is.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? He kills ISIS on day one.
He's just trying to keep us in suspense. That's what he does.
Yeah. Right after the commercial break, he'll tell us how he's going to deal with ISIS. Okay. I'm giddy today. I'm in a weird kind of mood. Sometimes I get like that when I'm just co-hosting. So I'm going to check in on tytnetwork.com/go too often. I'm going to go do it too strong and too often. I want to read more donor names, and I want to see where we are. Do you know that you could name this desk? Everybody who sits at this desk will be like, oh my God, this is the Joe Johnson desk? Jeez, and Lord mercy. Okay, that's $10,000, but it's going to the reporters. It's going to hire the reporters. So you don't actually get the desk, just FYI. Okay, but I want to see where we are. Can I see tytnetwork.com/go? No, say for that way. How do I find out?
Damn.
45.
Damn.
That's $4,000 more than when we started the show 10, 15 minutes ago. I don't have new donor names. Guys, get me new donor names. Let's go to the next story.
All right, let's do it. Among Donald Trump's picks who seem a little ill-prepared to deal with the positions they were chosen for, you have Rick Perry, who was nominated as the Energy Secretary. Now, apparently Rick Perry didn't really have an understanding of what that job would entail. And that's according to Republican insiders and lobbyists. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what exactly does it mean? What are you in charge of if you're energy secretary? You actually have a lot to do with our nuclear weapons. In fact, according to the New York Times, if confirmed by the Senate, Rick Perry would become the steward of a vast national security complex he knew almost nothing about, caring for the most fearsome weapons on the planet, the United States nuclear arsenal. 2/3 of the agency's annual $30 billion budget is devoted to maintaining, refurbishing, and keeping safe the nation's nuclear stockpile, thwarting nuclear proliferation, cleaning up and rebuilding an aging constellation of nuclear production facilities, and overseeing national laboratories that are considered the crown jewels of government science. So it sounds like a hefty job, a difficult job. And in the past, when Rick Perry was clear about how he wanted to cut the Department of Energy, when he remembered the name, he was like, I don't know, like, are they even creating energy? That was one of his statements. Okay?
Oh my God.
So he didn't have an understanding. Now, if you think I'm just a Democratic hack and you don't believe me, here's a comment from Michael McKenna, Republican energy lobbyist. Here's what he said. If you asked him, Perry, on the first day, he said yes. He would have said, I want to be an advocate for energy. If you asked him now, he'd say, I'm serious about the challenges facing the nuclear complex. It's been a learning curve.
This guy was on Rick Perry's 2016 campaign. So he's not against Rick Perry. He's for Rick Perry.
Yes.
And he says, yeah, the guy I wanted to be president is such a moron that he doesn't know what the Department of Energy does. Apparently, Rick Perry in the beginning believed that he was going to be a global ambassador for the oil and gas companies.
Essentially just like a lobbyist or something, where you go around lobbying for energy companies. But no, that's actually not what the job is. I mean, we just stated what it actually does entail.
No, but that's, okay, I need you to understand how amazing that is on a couple different fronts. So, number one, he was looking forward to being a lobbyist for the oil companies as our Secretary of Energy. Like, he wanted to do that. He's like, oh no, I'm not working for the oil companies like I did when I was governor of Texas. Oh, golly gee, I like that job. Oh, yeah. Number two, he ran for president. He doesn't know what one of the cabinet positions does. But number three, when he ran for president back in 2012, he ran in 2016 and got embarrassed. He also got embarrassed in 2012. He wanted to eliminate the Department of Energy.
And we're going to get to that in a second, because that part of the story is pretty hilarious. But first, I have to compare Rick Perry to the person that he will replace, the person who worked in the same position under the Obama administration. His name is Ernest Moniz. He was the chairman of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Physics Department and directed the Linear Accelerator at MIT's Laboratory for Nuclear Science. Before Mr. Moniz, the job belonged to Stephen Chu, a physicist who won a Nobel Prize. Now, Moniz also spent his early years working at the Stanford Linear Accelerator Center. Mr. Perry studied animal husbandry and led cheers at Texas A&M University.
But the joke's on us, man. These guys are in charge
of nuclear weapons. Okay, like just let that sink in for a second. Now,
to be fair, he did do animal husbandry, but
animals are innocent.
No one's arguing that. Now, look, we're concerned because obviously being in charge of nuclear weapons sounds like a very important job. However, Senate Republicans don't really think that we need scientists to fill these roles and make these types of decisions. Here's Senator Murkowski referring to Perry. This is amazing. Take a look.
Challenges facing the Secretary of Energy is the management of a large and very complex organization with thousands of employees and tens of thousands of contractors. Now, I do not subscribe to the view that only a scientist can manage other scientists. Instead, I think what we need is a good manager. We need a manager to manage all these scientists.
Yeah, we need a good manager with great expertise in animal husbandry. And by the way, if you're into that, God bless your heart. There's nothing wrong with that degree at all. And he was a cheerleader, which I'm always amused by, but that's my fault. I understand that there are male cheerleaders, especially in the South. George W. Bush was also a male cheerleader, although he did it in the Northeast. I guess it was a different era. Anyway, and Trent Lott, one of the former big Republicans, and they always like Perry's like, give me an N, give me a O, give me a K, give me a Y, nuke, 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 right? So, but that's not the management skill you need when you're in charge of the Department of Energy. It's a different skill set.
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter what someone's background is. I don't care if he has a Columbia journalism degree. He would still be unqualified for this position, besides which he didn't even know what the position entailed. I am worried for the well-being and the safety of this country. Okay, we have the insane clown posse now leading the United States of America. So.
Okay, so now, look, it gives you a good sense of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. It's not like the Democratic Party doesn't have its problems. It does, right? But who's the smart party and who's the dumb party? It's not a close contest. That's not to say that all Republicans are stupid. Of course not. They actually have a lot of rich folks who are pretty good at making money, and they're plenty bright. They just want lower taxes. I understand that, right? But if you're in that group, aren't you a little embarrassed of your party? I mean, one party puts nuclear physicists in charge of the Department of Energy, and you feel a little bit safer that we're going to advance our nuclear technology more, we're going to protect our nuclear complex, etc. The other guy goes, all right, hey, Rick, you're good and loyal to me. Well, what do you think? Well, I like oil companies. Can I be in? Can I be in, Donnie? Go ahead in, Ricky. Go ahead. He's like, oh, no, it's nuclear stuff. I don't know that. Remember, to go back to the point that Anna just brought up, he wanted to get rid of the Department of Energy, but he didn't know what they did. Why did you want to get rid of it if you didn't know what it does? Like, if you had told him in 2012, you know they actually take care of our nukes, that's like 2/3 of their job, he would have been like, so you want to get rid of our nukes? He'd be like, oops.
Yeah.
Which,
definitely
of course, comes from that moment, actually.
Yes. So let's talk about that moment a little bit and how he's had a little bit of a change of heart when it comes to the Energy Department. Back during the 2012 primaries, Rick Perry got a little bit of criticism when he claimed that he wanted to get rid of some government agencies that he didn't think were necessary anymore. Except he forgot the one department that he claims he wants to that he claimed he wanted to get rid of, but he is now going to be secretary of. If you don't remember that moment, take a look at this video.
And I will tell you, it's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone. Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see.
You need 5.
Oh, 5, okay. So commerce, education, and no doubt about that.
But you can't name the third one?
The third agency of government,
Yeah.
I would do away with the education, the commerce, and let's see. I can't. The third one I can't. Sorry. Oops.
Oops.
That was such a famous moment. It's in the TYT soundboard.
Oops.
It's so good.
That's where that comes from.
Good. Well, later on, he did remember, okay? He did remember the Department of Energy, and he explicitly said on a radio show that he wanted to get rid of it. Take a listen.
One of them wanted to know how many federal departments would you get rid of and which ones when you're elected president?
3 right off the bat. Commerce, interior, and energy are 3 that you think of right off the bat that could be.
With all the energy that they've developed.
Right. Right.
Okay. So he was very clear back then that he wanted to get rid of the department. However, now that he has been nominated as the energy secretary by Donald Trump, he's had a little bit of a change of heart. So during the confirmation hearings, he was very explicit about that change of heart. Take a look.
My past statements made over 5 years ago about abolishing the Department of Energy do not reflect my current thinking. In fact, after being briefed on so many of the vital functions of the Department of Energy, I regret recommending its elimination. If confirmed, I will enter this role excited and passionate about advocating and advancing the core missions of the DOE, drawing greater attention to the vital role played by the agency and the hardworking men and women who dedicate themselves in pursuit of these missions.
Perry also showed that he has a little bit of a sense of humor and poked a little fun at himself. Take a look.
Just this morning, we learned that the Trump transition team intends to propose eliminating the Department of Energy's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, Office of Electricity, scrap the Office of Fossil Energy, which focuses on technology to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, and make other massive cuts to your department. My question is, do you support these cuts? Yes or no?
Well, Senator, maybe they'll have the same experience I had and forget that they said that. But
We're counting on you. We're counting on you to educate the incoming president. Moving on.
That is, I get it. It's a good joke, fine.
Yeah.
But it's deeply embarrassing.
It is. It really is.
So the thing that's most embarrassing is that he's running for president back in 2012. He says he wants to get rid of the Department of Energy. He now admits he had no idea what the Department of Energy did. Running for the most powerful position on earth. And now, full well knowing that, Trump says, okay, since you're so stupid, you're so ignorant, you're my boy. You're exactly the kind of knucklehead I'm looking for. Now, come on, Republicans, you know how stupid Rick Perry is. I mean, first of all, he just said it right in front of your eyes. I didn't know what the Department of Energy was, and I got picked to be the Secretary of Energy. What the are you in, like, he just said it, right? So if you're not embarrassed at this crew, you should be embarrassed at yourself, because you're a knucklehead like them. Like, oh yeah, you should be ignorant. I'm proud of your ignorance. And you know, like, I like guys who don't know what they're doing, right? So that's Rick Perry for you. But for the rest of us, it's both embarrassing and deeply concerning, because now he controls the nukes. Do you know in Texas, they used to say Rick Perry's so stupid, he makes George Bush look smart.
But he's got those smart glasses, those smart-looking glasses.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
On the other hand.
Well, look, while the New York Times did a very great, detailed report about this whole situation with him being the nominee for the Energy Department, they tried to find a way to, or they at least tried to find individuals who wanted to defend him. Mm-hmm. And the only defense that they could come up with was, well, I mean, he did successfully find a private company to dispose of waste in Texas when he was governor. And there is, you know, a nuclear facility in Texas that he didn't oversee or have anything to do with, but it was in Texas.
And it did not explode.
Hey,
you misunderestimated him. Okay. By the way, I think I did a story about that, the waste facility a couple of years ago on the Young Turks, and it's actually one of his donors.
Yes, it is.
That runs it, and that's why they got a giant contract from him.
He's got experience, though.
He's got experience selling out, and he was looking forward to it. They just didn't let him do it in this case. The oil companies. All right, let's take our first break, okay? And when we come back, we got Mnuchin for you guys. We got a wall of meat, okay? Did anybody take the desk? Did anybody take any of our chairs? Did you take my chair, Anna's chair? Endow it, $5,000. You get your name on it. Quentin Tarantino sees it. Susan Sarandon sees it. Oliver Stone sees it. I'm not saying anything except for all the things that I've said. $10,000 for the desk, $5,000 for the field cameras, $20,000 for Studio B. Everybody walks in and goes, Jesus, Lord mercy. This is the Sally Thompson studio? I didn't know that. Okay. So new donors, $127 from Janine in Australia. God bless Australia. Thunder from down under, Janine. Jeff from Canada, $127. Mohammed from California, $127. Can I see tytnetwork.com/go? $924. Okay, $7,000 since we started the show. Okay, guys, here's what I need to see. 1 million. Can I see 1 million? Okay, let's find out when we come back. All right, post-game here in Studio B. It's the green screen magic of internet television.
A lot of condom breaking stories.
Any conversation that starts with, marriage is an interesting thing, deserves a little bit of...
When the kid cries, perhaps that's that is an opportunity to do some, it's an opportunity to do some parenting.
Yeah, parenting is, you cry, you're gone.
Oh my God.
I love that video.
Yeah, Ben, I got a great achoo. You're like, my mouth was open, she sneezed in my eye.
I used to have Donut Tower next to my desk.
Yeah, I'll dress up like a girl.
I sound confident now, Anna. When we're off the air, I'm gonna be like, how is this gonna work?
When you get literally asked why 21 straight times.
Yeah.
And like at some point you're like, you're fucking with me now,
right?
So I dumped the kids off at her mom's, and I drove down to La Jolla for a day.
Get out, kids.
They're like, but Daddy, no.
Why? What do you mean, why? You asked me to look at you. You did it. You brought it up. You know you're doing it. What do you mean, why? I don't know why. I was reading. She's lovely. Here's what's different. Like, it is a different feeling. Everybody says this, but it's 5:11 when we're shooting this. I can't wait to go home. Like that, I can't wait to see her.
What you guys do is allow us to be open and honest, and we don't have to worry about censorship, and we don't have to worry about sponsors telling us what we can and can't say. We're accountable by our audience and our audience only, and I absolutely love that. That's the best part about being a member. We love you guys.
Hey, what's up?
Aaron, what do you like better? Sarabies or Sarabies? Go. $127 from Brody in Washington. $127 from Juan in Canada. $1,027 from Kevin from Oregon.
I love how international we are. Australia, Canada, Oregon, which is not a different country, but still.
You see what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. No. It's coming from all across the world, and I got nothing but love for you guys.
Are you guys making it rain up in here? That's what's happening.
So there's a lot of things I'm gonna panic over. I'm in a panic that you're gonna put it at 1 million, and I'm not quite ready for the announcement today. The second thing I'm gonna panic over is the rings. I wonder if somebody's gonna take mine. Dan is looking into how many rings are left. I think it might be less than a handful, literally.
Wow.
Okay. So we started with 76. I think they're close to all gone. So it is time to panic on that front. I'm not saying you should go to tytnetwork.com/go and give $1,000 for watchdog journalism. I'm just saying if you did, the ring, the soundboard, Watchers on the Wall t-shirt. Oh, we didn't find out what the slogan was. We will next break. Joey Bangs writes in, it sounds like Trump doesn't have the stamina to be president. That's funny. Sasha Rai writes in, our heads are spinning, just not in a good way. Annie writes in, honestly, we feel like we as a species are trolling ourselves. Well, if we wanted to, we definitely picked the right guy, Donald J. Troll, Troll in Chief. And finally, Dwayne says that oops is going to sum up so much of this administration. Very wrong, right about that. Well, Trump would, of course, say.
Wrong.
And that's because he says he's a...
You know, I'm like a smart person.
You're like a smart person.
Who says, you know, I'm like a smart person? Which smart... Do you think Stephen Chu, the former Secretary of Energy who, you know, won a Nobel Prize for Physics, is like, you know, I'm like a smart person? Okay. KNICTYTnetwork.com/go. $968,204. Can I see $1 million? Okay. Well, we'll find out by the end of the show. Let's go.
All right.
Casper.
John Oliver's evil doppelganger and Treasury Secretary pick, Steve Mnuchin, is dealing with the Senate questions regarding his confirmation. And it got a little heated after Ron Wyden asked some questions and made some statements that some Republicans didn't like. In fact, according to reports, Democrat Ron Wyden of Oregon delivered remarks alleging Mnuchin dodged U.S. taxes by running offshore hedge funds. Now, that's relevant considering the fact that he was chosen as Treasury Secretary, but Republicans didn't like it. Case in point, we have Pat Roberts and a joke that he said as a rebuttal to Ron Wyden's concerns. Take a look.
Senator Wyden, I've got a Valium pill here that you might want to take before the second round. Just a suggestion, sir.
Just another suggestion. We've got a lot of colleagues waiting. If you could be brief, it would be helpful.
I'm going to be very brief. Mr. Mnuchin, from the distinguished ranking member's remarks, I understand you were in charge of the Great Recession. Banks.
Mr. Chairman, I hope that comment about Valium doesn't set the tone for 2017 in this committee. I like Senator Roberts, but I just can't quite believe that he would say that to a distinguished senator from Oregon.
I said that to the President of the United States at one.
Perhaps you did.
Yeah.
But I would hope that doesn't set the tone for the session.
It was
Mr. Chairman,
all right.
I sit on.
I have the time, please.
Senator Crowder, the relationship we're building is so different from this.
I have the time,
This is
please.
just outrageous.
Listen, I don't know about outrageous, but I think just a little pinprick of humor might help this committee from time to time, which I engage in. So I'm sorry if I have, incurred your wrath, sir. So we'll be all right.
Well, let's turn
to the pass-through things on tax reform.
Mr. Chairman, we have many colleagues waiting.
Fine, Ron. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow, that was quick. All right. So look, I might shock the world here. I'm on the Republican side on this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not on the substance, of course. What Mnuchin did with the offshore tax havens, the foreclosures, and all the things that the way that he ran One West Bank and the brutal way that they foreclosed on people, including a woman that they foreclosed her house on 37 cents.
Yes.
Okay, that means...
Who was in her 90s, by the way.
Yeah, and that means you're not making a good faith effort. You want to kick them out of their house. And they did that over and over again. It's not just one anecdote. That it was done as a business practice. So don't get me wrong. On the substance, Mnuchin is a disaster, and I, of course, agree with the Democrats on that particular pick. But in this case, Senator Pat Roberts, Republican from Kansas, I got no love for him. He's making a stupid joke. And I get that he's trying to be derisive, like, oh, you're worried about Americans and this guy's corruption. Take a Valium, right? I get the dismissive and derisive nature of it, but it is a joke. Don't spend two and a half minutes talking about, oh, I hope this doesn't set the tone. And I like Sherrod Brown, but I would have let it go.
So I have many thoughts on this. So first of all, in a different context, I think those types of jokes are totally fine. But I think that it speaks volumes of what the priorities of Republicans are. Because, they're having a discussion about a Treasury pick, the head of the Treasury Department, essentially dodging taxes. And that has severe ramifications here in the United States. These types of tax cuts and these types of loopholes and these types of tax dodgers lead to, programs that lose a lot of funding. And so American people suffer as a result. So it's such an important concern to focus on. And the way that Roberts responded to it shows that he has absolutely no concern for this, right? He thinks it's a joke. He minimizes the importance of it. So I don't have a problem with joking, but I didn't like the context that joke was told in. Now, the other thing that this made me think of is what goes down in parliament in other countries, right? So there have been videos of, let's say, politicians in Turkey or politicians in the UK, and they get feisty.
Well, sometimes they literally fist fight. There was one in Taiwan, in Turkey,
yes,
et cetera,
yes.
right?
And I'm not advocating for the fist fighting. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes I like a little heat. Like, I like a little fire, right? You don't have to be all, suited up and
the distinguished gentleman from Oregon, Dudagla.
So, the whole, oh, how dare you? He's a distinguished gentleman from Oregon. Relax. That I don't care about.
Take a value.
But the context in which that joke was made bothered me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, look, I just do a snide comment back. Oh, I didn't know you rooted for the Dodgers. Senator Roberts, you're from Kansas. Oh, right, not the LA Dodgers, the tax Dodgers. That's who you're in favor of. We're making jokes. Yeah. We're making bad jokes because we're senators, right? Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, that would have been a good way to handle it. I agree. But anyway.
Or you can do a Joe Pesci and be like, hey, make another joke, funny man. Make us laugh. Anyways, it's the least offensive thing Republicans have done, if you ask me.
Okay, let's move on to Trump's inauguration. Donald Trump is not the type of person who likes to be told that he's unpopular or that he's losing in something. And recent reports indicate that there isn't a lot of fire or a lot of attention being paid by the American people toward his inauguration. Not a lot of people are actually going to show up. And he absolutely hates that. It drives him insane because he wants to be part of this popularity contest. Now, to give you an idea of what his inauguration will be like in terms of attendance compared to Obama's, DC's Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is expecting anywhere between 800,000 to 900,000 people to attend the swearing-in ceremony. That's a lot. And the parade. In comparison, an estimated 1.8 million people attended President Barack Obama's first inauguration. Now, to be fair, President Barack Obama's inauguration was undoubtedly a moment in history. It was the first time that we elected a biracial president. So I could understand how he would have more people attending than anyone else, to be honest, unless there was, someone who's not Christian or someone who's not male who gets elected into office, because that would be historic as well.
No, but to be fair to Trump, he's also historic. He's the first orange president we're ever going to have.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Right, so a lot of orange Americans are headed down to D.C. as we speak. No, that's part of it.
Yeah.
The other part of it is when Trump's approval ratings now are hovering between 37, I think I saw 44 once. Let's call it 40%, okay? Now, for an incoming president, that is historically miserable. George W. Bush also won an election where he did not win the popular vote, but came in at 61%. Barack Obama, when he got the 1.8 million people to show up, came in at an 84% approval rating.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's why he has twice as many people who came to his inauguration. It makes sense. He was literally twice as popular as you.
Right. Now, honestly, who cares? Don't draw attention to the fact that there isn't as much excitement surrounding your inauguration. But Trump can't help himself. So, of course, he starts making statements about how popular he is and how much everyone loves him. Here's a quote. I saw the bikers for Trump. Boy, they had a scene today. And they had a scene today where they had helicopters flying over a highway someplace in this country. And
I wonder if he looked it up or not and verified.
And they had thousands of those guys coming into town. Okay, first, bikers for Trump obviously support Trump. They exist, and they do plan on attending. However, there are memes, pictures, and videos circulating and going viral around the internet indicating that, here are the bikers, here they are on their way to DC for the inauguration. The only problem is they're all fake. They're all either photoshopped or they're from events from years ago. So there's an example of a video that obviously is not in DC because of the green grass, and it's wintertime. Just let's keep that in mind. Okay. So let me give you some examples. There was a photo from Twitter handle WikiFleek Memes claiming that 200,000 bikers were on their way to D.C. It's also fake. The origin of the photo comes from a 2013 blog post on bikers on the Spanish website Hoy. Also, as of this week, there are still 3 times more bus permits issued for the protests on Saturday, namely for the Women's March on Washington, than for Trump's inauguration. Thus far...
Wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's a stunning number.
It is. Thus far, the District Department of Transportation has filed 393 bus permits for Trump's inauguration. Events DC, which is in charge of the Women's March, received 1,200 bus permits.
Bus permit requests, by the way.
Yes.
It's not like they're not giving the Trump guys permits. He won. He's going to be the president. I've never seen a situation where the protesters at an inauguration are larger than the actual supporters at the inauguration. Not at Bush, not at anyone. I mean, look, you could argue that a lot of people didn't like Obama by 2012. That's actually not empirically true based on the popularity he had back then. But you could argue that, and the protesters were shao-shao. They were tiny compared to the actual inauguration events. In this case, it's lopsided. So, of course, it drives Trump crazy. But what's amazing about him is, A, doesn't care about facts at all, right? So, that picture's not true. Who cares,
yeah.
right? 2, he's the president of the United States, and he still doesn't check anything.
He doesn't care,
though. Wouldn't you get embarrassed? Like, hey, Donald, you schmuck. That's a picture from 2013. It's from a Spanish magazine. And then he goes, oi. But he doesn't. He doesn't care.
But here's the reason why he can do that and he will continuously get away with it. He understands that his base also isn't interested in the facts. I mean, he lied again and again, not only during the election, but after the election. He lies. He can't help himself. And it's not enough to convince his supporters that he is not the right person to lead this country. As I've said before, the scandals don't matter. The lies don't matter. The only thing that will matter in the end is what he will do to this economy, right? As soon as Americans feel the economic burden of Donald Trump, I think that's when things will matter. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter. He can go ahead and share fake memes as much as he wants and then complain about fake news simultaneously.
All right, now let's hit him with the wall of meat.
Okay, so Chris Cox is the founder of Bikers for Trump. And recently, he was on Fox talking about just how much he loves Trump and how much he plans on supporting him. Take a look.
We're a force to be dealt with. We're a political phenomenon. We are in no way, shape, or form vigilantes. We will have a presence during the presidential inauguration. We have full confidence in the Metropolitan Police Department, the Park Police, and the Capitol Police. We believe they've learned from mistakes that were made in Chicago and Arizona, and we have the utmost confidence in them. But in the event that we are needed, we certainly will form a wall of meat.
What does that mean? What does that mean, a wall of meat?
A wall of meat. Well, we'll be shoulder to shoulder with our brothers, and we'll be toe to toe with anyone that is going to break through any police barriers, that's going to be assaulting women, spitting on them, throwing things at them.
Who's going to pay for that wall? I know you're going to build it with your meat. By the way, the guy who wants to build a wall of meat, his last name is Cox.
Oh my God. Look.
Cox comes out and says, I'm going to build a wall of meat. That's what Cox is going to do.
Look, they support Trump, more power to them. They want to build a wall of meat. Do you, boo? I do think it's interesting, though, that in the last part of his statement there, he said something about protecting women from being assaulted or spit on. The protesters that are going to protest him at the inauguration and the day after, they're called the March for Women. Right? And so I don't think anyone's interested. I don't believe for a second that anyone related to that movement or that protest is looking for violence or looking for trouble. Will there be a provocateur? Will there be people trying to cause problems? I have no doubt. Okay, that always happens. But overall, no one's going there looking to abuse women.
Okay, I'm going to make a random comment about the Fox and Friends B team. Because they brought the B team in for some reason, okay? And they just look like new puppets, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like they move like the Muppets, like, oh, wall of meat. They crack me up, man. I think that between the three of them, they got about 2 brain cells they rub together, and they're like, wall meat. So, all right, guys, if you're Trump supporters and you love this, have at it, Hoss. Go join the wall. Be part of the wall of meat, which is hilarious. Make the vegetarians pay for it. Okay.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
That's also from Fox and Friends.
Wow.
Man, the conservatives love to talk about meat. They also like to, all right.
Okay, let's stop talking about meat. I'm done with that.
Okay, before we go on, and by the way, in the postgame, tytnetwork.com/join, we will talk about Donald Trump's inaugural photo when he's doing the speech.
Yes.
Okay, that's a hilarious story. Okay, don't miss that. That's for the members only. Okay, here's my latest set of donors. I like Tony from Texas. He, goes to his own. Screwing up the phrase, walks to his own drummer.
Walks to the beat of his own
drum.
Yeah.
Something. Does something with a drum. $26.99 is what Tony gave from Texas. Gabriella from Carmen from Massachusetts gave $50. Kevin from Indiana, $127. Well, Kevin, there's only one place I'd rather be, French Lick. Okay, can I see tytnetwork.com/go before we listen? $974,000. If we jump to 974, I have a feeling a camera or a chair or something along those lines has been named. Who has named it and what have they named? We will find out soon. But meanwhile, next story.
Yes. All right. DNC chair candidates were debating one another at George Washington University, and while the debate was happening, Huffington Post's Ryan Grimm asked an interesting question regarding Haim Saban and his comments on Keith Ellison. He had called Keith Ellison anti-Semitic. Now, what was the reaction to that? Take a look.
Please raise your hand if you think Saban should apologize for those remarks.
I think it's important that we realize that this is bigger than our own selves. And so attack against one of us, I really think is an attack against all of us. And I think that we stand united with Congressman Ellison.
I just think everybody should know that Haim and I did have a phone call. I won't disclose what we talked about, but it was amicable. And we're going to get together and build on our relationship. Keith is a great guy who works hard each and every day for his constituents. And I don't believe that there's an anti-Semitic bone in his body, because he's going to fight for the good for everybody. And so we need to, as a party, stop with all of the demonization of each other and focus on the real war right now, and that is against Donald Trump.
30 seconds.
Okay, so we're going to get to Jamu Green's reaction to it, because she was the only one other than Keith Ellison who did not raise her hand. And her answer, in my opinion, is maddening. But we'll get to that in a second. First, a little context and background. Haim Saban is a billionaire mega donor. And he had called Ellison anti-Semitic, maybe because he's Muslim, but also because of the following, okay? Let's go to graphic 24. So Ellison had participated in the Louis Farrakhan organized Million Man March on Washington in 1995 alongside Barack Obama. Farrakhan has a long record of anti-Semitism and has been labeled as an anti-Semite by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, when Ellison, was a law school student in the 1990s, he defended Farrakhan against charges of anti-Semitism. However, he later retracted those comments and apologized for them, saying he did not adequately scrutinize his views. Now, let's be clear about something. People say a lot of dumb things when they're in college, and it's okay to retract those insanely dumb comments later.
I don't know what you would be referring to.
Yeah.
So, of course, having retracted some comments myself that I said in college, but I'm not the only one backing Keith Ellison here, and not only just other people at the DNC, but Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders, two, I would argue, the two most successful Jewish American senators right now. Bernie Sanders, the most successful Jewish American candidate in history. Chuck Schumer, now the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. Both back Keith Ellison, say he's not remotely anti-Semitic. So look, and he retracted those comments. They're from a million years ago. That's not what this is about. So I'm going to guess at what Haim Saban cares about here based on a lot of evidence about the past. He doesn't care about what Farrakhan. And by the way, Farrakhan is totally anti-Semitic. Back when I was going to college, I went to see a Farrakhan speech. First half of it, I was like, and back then I'm a Republican. I'm like, this whole thing about you got to help yourself, don't pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I was like, I kind of like this as a Republican, right? The second half of the speech, he's like, you know where the word Jews come from? It comes from the Jews. I was like, what in the world?
Jeez.
So he's definitely, I heard it for myself, he's definitely anti-Semitic. Or he certainly was back then, back in the 1990s. I guess he hasn't changed much. Anyway, so it's not about that. It's about Ellison's position on Israel. And I don't know Haim Saban at all. I think I'd be surprised that if he was so Islamophobic that he just called Ellison anti-Semitic just because he's Muslim. I doubt that.
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I doubt it, so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there. But on the issue of Israel, I think he's done something really, really wrong here. Because I know Haim Saban cares deeply about Israel. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of us do, right? I know that even though he is progressive in other areas and is the biggest donor to the Democrats, he is right-wing on Israel. So, like the proof's in the pudding, man. Netanyahu couldn't agree with him more. Can't do anything wrong. Netanyahu. That is a extreme right-wing government in Israel. The left wing of Israel does not agree. Moderates in Israel do not agree. Haim Saban does not speak for all Israelis. He doesn't speak for all Jews. And I would hope and I would guess that he doesn't claim to, right? So when Ellison does not agree with Haim Saban, and this is an old trick, and it's a really dirty trick, and it happens all the time, if you don't agree with the right-wing position in Israel, anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Anti-Semitic. And so I'm done with it. Now I don't have to bother them arguing the merits of it. How do I justify an endless occupation? I can't, so I'll just call you an anti-Semite. How do I justify disproportionate use of force? Bernie Sanders said it was clearly disproportionate. The whole world agrees in the last Gaza incursion, let alone the other incursions. And Bernie Sanders gave specific stats on that. So is Bernie Sanders anti-Semitic? Bernie Sanders' position on Israel might be to the left of Keith Ellison, but it's hard to call him anti-Semitic because he's Jewish.
Because he's Jewish,
Right.
exactly. And look, it's a tactic and it's a strategy to immediately shut down the conversation because no one wants to be labeled anti-Semitic, right? That's a terrible label to have, especially when you are not anti-Semitic. And in this case, Keith Ellison is definitely not anti-Semitic, right? So again, I want to go back to those who raised their hands and those who did not. Again, everyone on that stage, except for Keith Ellison and Jammu Green, raised their hands because they believe that Saban needs to apologize. Now, why didn't Green raise her hand? Weird. Well, she gave an answer.
I may have been the only one who did not raise my hand, and that's because I think as Democrats, we need to stop falling for these gotcha questions. I think when the media wants to divide us in this way, divide our funders from our potential leaders, we need to just stop taking the bait. So I'm not going to take the bait on that question of division. I'm not going to take the debate on the Sanders versus the Clinton divide. And I would look to all of my candidates up here and say, let's stop taking the bait. We can control the conversation.
Thank you.
It's kind of amazing how out of touch she is because she was just so incredibly transparent about how her priority is ensuring a nice, tidy, close relationship between the funders and potential politicians.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with her more. And look, we've talked about how the media sets up false questions that have no good answers. This was the exact opposite. Ryan Grimm actually asked a really interesting, thoughtful, out-of-the-box question that got to the heart of what's wrong with the DNC, that they're beholden to the donors. And he put them on the spot. That's exactly what a journalist should do. Are you going to be beholden to the donors? This is your biggest donor. And actually, the other 6 stepped up and did something brave and spoke out against the top donor to the Democratic Party. They should receive a lot of credit for that, and Ryan should receive a lot of credit for asking the question. So she says, no, remember, we've got to be tight with the donors. The second thing she said is, I'm not going to fall for the bait and talk about the Sanders-Clinton divide. But that's the heart of the race.
Yes.
That's not like, I'm doing a gotcha for you. Which side are you on? Are you going to continue to take giant amount of corporate money? Or are you going to take money from the American people and try to rebuild a party? That is central to whether you should run the DNC or not. How the hell are you going to run the DNC if you don't give us the answer to that?
Well,
that means you're avoiding the questions.
If you avoid that question and you prevent yourself from learning about what caused that divide, then there is no hope that you will fight to save the Democratic Party or reform the Democratic Party in the way that's necessary to ensure that someone like Donald Trump doesn't win again in the future. A lot of people who ended up voting for Donald Trump were extremely transparent about the fact that they actually wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders. The New York Times had this incredible piece where they profiled female Trump supporters. And look, I have been harsh toward female Trump supporters.
Oh, yes.
Yes. However, it was an illuminating report because it profiled them and talked about why it is that they went for Trump, even though they're against his rhetoric and some of his actions in the past. They couldn't get themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton, right? They wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders. And so given the choice between what they viewed as an anti-establishment candidate and a very pro-establishment candidate, they went for Donald Trump, who they believed was anti-establishment. So look, the Democratic Party, the DNC, depending on how Trump's administration does with foreign policy and healthcare and all these things, they have blood on their hands. I really believe that they do, because manipulating the primaries the way that they did and completely discounting the number of people who supported and wanted Bernie Sanders to be the nominee was a terrible, terrible decision.
So now when Trump does whatever he's going to do, look, I know that they love to blame Bernie Sanders or his supporters or the young or the blacks or the Latinos for not showing up or the women for not voting enough and the Russians and James. They love to make 1,000 excuses. But all those folks didn't lose to Donald Trump. You, Democratic establishment, you lost to Donald Trump. So, you own it. And if you choose not to go in a different direction, you're going to own that too. If you've learned nothing at all from this, well, then we'll know whether you're on our side or not on our side. And by the way, one last point here, because I know someone that was in the room, and when they were all going to raise their hands or not raise their hands, Thomas Perez, who is the establishment pick, Barack Obama wants him to be the nominee, to run the DNC, because he thinks Ellison is too liberal and too populist. So he's like, let's just get a good corporate guy like Perez in, and they pretend he's progressive, et cetera. Perez apparently, as people were raising their hands, looked around the room, and it was like, oh, yeah, me too. Okay. Look, if they put Ellison as the head of the DNC, they have a hope that they can turn around. If they don't, then we'll know exactly which direction they're going. It'll be incredibly obvious.
Yeah, this should be a teachable moment, and I think my biggest fear is that it will not be for Democrats.
Yeah. Look, man, I don't know. I don't know if I want the DNC to go in the right direction or if I want to just kick their ass. Anyways, I do know. I want him. Oh, you always win by winning. I would want Ellison to win, and I want him to go in the right direction. And I want as many allies as possible because I want to win so we can get progressive policy positions. But they are maddening. Okay, real quick check before we hit the break. Continues to be $976,240.
Okay.
All right, God bless, God bless. Did we get a refresh on that? Okay. Let me read some names. Liz from California, $127. Nina from Illinois, $127. Maxwell from Canada, $127. Susie from New York, $127. You're all getting the... Okay, when we come back, I've got to tell you who won. Is it the Watchers on the Wall t-shirt or the Sword in the Darkness t-shirt? I'll tell you, and we'll give you another update on tytnetwork.com/go. Can I see a million? We'll be right back.
Do you trust the establishment media?
The United States economy has never been better. Monetary policy is spectacular.
Everybody thought Jamie Dimon was the king of Wall Street last week. Well, it might be Ken Lewis now. He takes the crown. The best sales force out there is Merrill Lynch, and now it goes to BofA. It's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing. Lewis now. Buying opportunity. I do think this is a buying opportunity. We're going to see a stabilization and just a tremendous snapback.
The rally will be jaw-dropping.
The Occupy Wall Street movement is not a spontaneous protest against economic inequality.
This is what we mean by the establishment press.
It is a well-thought-out campaign.
To bring down the infrastructure of this country.
The embarrassment is that I'm given credibility in this world because of the disappointment that the public has in what the news media does.
I'm the former chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I learned a little bit about the cost of war. What the president is trying to do, and I agree with him, is to do everything that we can without going to war.
So what do you say to your critics? I'm talking about Democratic critics who say, you know what, he's really just a socialist pacifist.
I very rarely read in any coverage of Bernie that he's a socialist.
Bernie Sanders is a socialist, for God's sake.
Most analysts are saying that Hillary Clinton's going to win in a landslide.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
I've got Trump at 279, 259.
Wait a minute. I'm winning the presidency.
I know you don't believe that. Sorry to laugh. We're not going to be polite anymore. You know what we're going to do? We're going to fight back.
Fight for a free and independent media. We're done with politeness. We fight back. We are going to put together the best investigative reporting team in the country. You like Jordan Chariton in the field, challenging Democrats? He's the one that took down Donald Brazil. Thank God for that.
You know, give me 10 Jordan Charitons. Look at the damage I could do.
TYT will give you the four horsemen, and we will let them gallop. Help unleash real journalism in the country. We don't need anybody else anymore but you guys. tytnetwork.com/go. This is going to be amazing.
We talk about TYT Army being so strong. Usually they help us run our show. Now they're going to help us run the country.
Like this!
It's time that we reclaim democracy for the people.
We had a huge victory for Wolfpack.
When Lincoln said this was a country by, of, and for, he said of the people, not of corporations.
Our representatives don't represent us. Whoa! Democracy!
United!
We are!
We are!
Too strong!
There's thousands of volunteers, and you could be among them.
With Wolfpack, the mission is so clear.
Money is killing our democracy.
96% of Americans want it.
When you get the power back, oh, that feels good. This is just the beginning. Let's go get them, man. Up and at them. Knock, knock.
We're coming for them!
Wolf-pack.com.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's always these weird cream cheese options. I can never just find the plain. What about salmon? Do I look like a grizzly bear? Here, try this veggie. Where's the plain? Where is it? You're more of a grape drink kind of guy, right? Or try this mouthwash. Where's the plain? Do you like sexual healing? Where is the plain? Where's the plain? Where's the plain? Where is it? Where's the plain? Dude. Anna Rasparian. No, I want the plane. Supervisor! Aren't you the supervisor? Isn't that the whole point of being supervisor? Why do you get to decide my cream cheese options? At what point did you decide there'd be no plain cream cheese? I don't understand. Take it easy, man. No, this is true just like with politics and anything else. If we don't stand up for ourselves, they're just gonna fuck us even harder. You're not gonna believe this. They kicked me out of the kitchen.
All right, back on the Young Turks. Circe sent 27 bucks from Oklahoma. Not Circe, Circe. Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but thank you. Valencia from Colorado gave 27 bucks, and Bethany from Washington, $127. So Bethany, you will get a shirt that is named something that I will tell you in a second, because it was one of the closest polls we have ever had. Okay. Now let me read some tweets before I get to that dramatic announcement. And by the way, speaking of dramatic, all day tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Tell you, we're getting up at 4 in the morning here to do this show for you guys. Jordan and Nomi are in the field. We're going to go to live coverage from protesters, from Trump supporters, from everybody. We're going to carry the speech. You got to tell everybody to come watch it on the Young Turks, okay? YouTube.com/TYT. Watch it on Facebook, Twitter, TYTnetwork.com/live. Okay, so do it with us. All right, Ben Monroe writes in, definitely with Cenk on this one about Pat Roberts' joke. Don't like the joke, have a snappy comeback and move on. We die one day, live a little. Enrique Rodriguez writes in, gee, people, no reason to make such a fuss over this shitty joke. Take a chill pill. Dan Grigori writes in, tomorrow we inaugurate America's first Ferengi president, historic. He does trade like the Ferengi, but I don't know how he feels about people touching his ears. You shamelessly clothe your women, inviting others to unclothe them. All right. By the way, for the members, last night on Old School, we had some great Star Trek conversations related to I Love Lucy conversations.
Oh, okay.
They somehow intersected in a very, very meaningful way. So check that out if you're a member at tytnetwork.com/join. Okay, finally, the Forgotten Arm says, Trump does not seem to like losing the popularity contest by millions. Last line of his inauguration will read, please clap. And by the way, we will talk about how he's writing his speech in the postgame also for members.
Yeah.
Okay, now, the shirt that we're giving, if you give $127, that one of our viewers created. He created the design, and then our graphics team created the shirt. The two possibilities for what's going to go on the back is either the Watchers on the Wall or the Sword in the Darkness.
Both very good.
That's right. Both excellent. And the Sword in the Darkness was winning big time. Ben Mankiewicz made an impassioned plea against the Sword in the Darkness. He wanted the Watchers on the Wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the Watchers on the Wall started to close in. Here come the Watchers, but the sword is still right there. Get back and forth, back and forth. It ended 50.7 to 49.3. That is closer than the presidential election.
Wow.
Because they were both such good titles. And you guys voted here. It was all your votes, but that's now, the polling is closed. The results are in. Are you ready? With 50.7% of the vote, with close to 3,000 votes in, Sword in the Darkness.
Oh, damn.
The winner
Sorry,
is
Ben.
Sword in the Darkness. Sorry, Mankiewicz. Sorry. It happened.
That kind of makes me like Sword in the Darkness a little more.
That Ben was against it?
Yeah.
It is a badass Sword in the Darkness. I think over 1,600 people have already gotten it. Okay?
Wow.
You know, there's been over 28,000 people who've donated. You built this. You built this. You built a studio, and you're building our investigative reporting teams. We're going to hire, of course, another team as soon as we get to 1 million, which apparently is very close. Let's see where we are now. $980,630.
Wow.
Can I see 1 million? Can I see 1 million? All right, second hour for you guys. Let's do it.
All right. During the filming of NBC Universal's movie, A Dog's Purpose, someone had gotten footage of one of the German Shepherds being treated in a way that many feel was not okay, especially if you consider that it was for human entertainment. Now, this was in November of 2015 in Canada, and TMZ did get this footage, and I think there's a debate about whether or not this is considered animal cruelty. Now take a look, and we will discuss.
Well, he ain't gonna calm down until he goes in the water. Just gotta throw him in. Oh, here he goes. Oh no. Okay, you get his feet wet, he learns it's not cold. Look, he wants to go in. Oh, he wants to get away. Just throw him in. Oh, here it goes. Oh, he's gonna end up going in with him. Here, boy. Oh, no.
Okay, so
what happened at the end there? Was he started to drown or something?
Yeah, he was completely submerged. Everyone freaked out and then went to go save the dog. Okay, so just to give you a little more background, in that scene, there were 8 outboard motors used to churn the water and recreate a rushing river. And so look, a lot of dogs are afraid of water, and like I don't know, I feel like people are gonna get at me, but I just didn't like it. It made me...
No, are you kidding
Am I a
me?
crazy dog owner? I don't know. I just, because I get it. There are a lot of dogs that hate water. Like my dog actually, thankfully, doesn't mind getting bathed, but my previous dog hated being bathed. But sometimes I had to bathe her, you know? She hated having her nails clipped, but you had to clip her nails. And so she would fight it. But I think the only difference there is you're doing it for the dog's well-being, so she's clean and she has, you know, short nails and she's comfortable. In this case, it's being done for human entertainment and it's so unnecessary.
Yeah, agree to disagree. All right, so now, first of all, I'm amused that you think you have the controversial opinion. Are you kidding me? Americans love dogs way more than they love humans, way more. So all of America is going to be on your side. If we did a poll, I would be crushed, okay? And in fact, people are already despising me, and I haven't even finished the sentence. So, like, the dog lovers are mental. Oh, my God! Snuffy got wet. He got wet. He doesn't like the water. Okay, they're filming a multi-million-dollar movie. Let's up and at 'em. Okay.
Oh yeah. They're filming a multi-million-dollar movie. Did
I tell you I'm a capitalist? Have I mentioned that? Okay. So look. Here's the thing. We cut their balls off. Now you're telling me we can't put them in a pool that's actually safe? And look at what happened when when he actually got submerged. It wasn't like they were like, whatever, who cares about the dog, get the next one, right? They all flipped out, they're like, cut, and they all dove in and saved him. It's not like they don't care. And the guy, the trainer, wasn't like, hey, whatever, and threw him in. No, he's like, okay, let me get the feet wet. Let me get the whole body wet. Let me make sure he's okay. They gotta film the scene.
No, they don't have to film the scene, actually, right? Like, think about
Just shut down the movie.
No, don't. First of all, here's the reality. Here's what I think about movies using real dogs, right, or real animals. Especially if the entire movie is about real dogs. First of all, they usually suck, and second of all, like it's supposed to be a kids movie. Why can't you just do an animated movie? Why can't you just use CGI?
But that's not this movie. That's a totally different movie.
I don't know, whatever. I just think that it's ridiculous to force animals, not just dogs, animals to do things that they don't want to do or put them in uncomfortable positions just for our freaking entertainment. That's all I have to say about it. I know that there's a huge debate, by the way. I think you're completely discounting the number of people that are actually on your side.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so I get it, and maybe I am a crazy dog owner because, yeah, I think of my dog and I think of how innocent and sweet he is, how much happiness and joy he provides for my life, and the idea of putting him in a terrible situation for someone else's entertainment makes me angry. It does.
Yeah, but whoever owns the dog is probably getting a good amount of money,
I
right?
don't care
so
what
it's
they're
not
getting.
like they're like, don't put my dog in jeopardy. They're like, okay, and he didn't. You saw the video. I don't know if he owns it, but the trainer was like, you know, very, very calm.
Yeah, very gentle with the dog. You know,
He was.
into the
What
water.
do you want him to do? Okay, I know. Look, your side, your main argument is
animals are innocent.
I understand that, and they are, right? And so don't get me wrong. Like when in some countries, including Turkey, by the way, they make not domesticate the bears, but they chain them up and they get them to dance. Or in India and in Thailand, they train the elephants and train the elephants to paint and stuff. You know what kind of beating they got to do to a bear and an elephant to get them to do that? Okay, so and I'm so pro animals. I'm basically against zoos. I hate seeing them caged up like that.
Right.
Right? And so, do I believe in that kind of animal cruelty? Of course not. I might be more lib than you on animal cruelty because I don't even like zoos, right? But Like what happened there on that tape wasn't like some sort of crime against humanity or
No, okay,
you know what I'm
and
saying?
let me be clear about something. First of all, you know where there's rampant cruelty toward animals? Here in the United States. Look, there obviously is a double standard when it comes to animals that we domesticate versus animals that we eat. We're vicious to animals that we farm for consumption, right?
That's the best point.
Yeah, okay,
Look,
so-
and I'm a big meat eater. I know those Trump bikers for Trump want to set up a wall at me. Okay, anyway, I don't want to get back into that. So I eat steak, I eat bacon, everybody knows it. But every time I think about what they do to those poor cows and what they do to the poor pigs and how we abuse the hell out of them. But everybody's like, yeah, but it's not my cute, cuddly dog. Like, I got a dog and he's my pet. Oh, the cows butcher him and keep him in a cage for the rest of their lives. I don't care.
Yeah, look, I know there's that double standard, and that should be mentioned. But at the same time, the reason why people have the type of reaction that they do to videos like that, and I agree with you, I don't think it's a gigantic crime and people should be imprisoned. I'm just saying that you watch it and it makes you feel really bad. It's because we do see our pets, specifically our dogs, as members of our families, you know? And I know that they're not the same as babies and people are gonna be like, that's ridiculous. I get that. But I think people also minimize the insane positive impact that dogs have on people's mental health, on their happiness. They're incredible. So they see videos like that and they immediately think of their dogs. It's just what happens.
This is a major aspect of this I think you guys are both missing. Have you seen the previews for this movie, A Dog's Purpose? I think that's the movie it's from, am I right?
It is, yeah.
I saw it in the preview, was watching the movie with my kid. It looks like one of the most cheesy, horrifically stupid movies I've ever seen. So by the way, yes, I think it is torturous and cruel to this animal. Even if it's something mental, the dog didn't want to do it. He was freaking out. If nothing else, there's a level of fear of something going on. You don't want to force any living creature, as you talked about with farming animals, to do anything that drastic that's fearful. But the movie looks so bad. It's so bad. Oh, he jumped off my back and caught the damn Frisbee. Oh, he's the same dog. Keeps coming back and helping each person. Hope the movie makes about $1,000 because it looks like the cheesiest movie. You thought Air Bud was bad? This is gonna be a lot worse.
I mean, look, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this was done, again, for the entertainment of humans. And the entertainment isn't even that entertaining. Like that's
Why didn't you do it for the entertainment of the dogs? Why didn't you do that, Hollywood?
You're the worst. Anyway.
You too, man. These bleeding heart libs. What am I gonna do with
And
that?
I don't even have a dog.
Like,
but,
and by the
I
way,
don't like seeing it.
I'm just thinking of myself being offered any amount of money and agreeing to it, and then sitting there while I watch some person trying to drag my dog into that water. Like, first of all, I wouldn't have taken that money. Okay, that's just me. But I would fucking lose my mind. Charlie? Really? You're gonna fuck with Charlie? You're gonna fuck with my baby? You're gonna put my fur baby in that water?
For me?
Oh my God, if I saw Charlie 100% submerged in the water like that, struggling to get his cute little nose above water, I would lose my mind.
Okay, me with our cat, or who our kids have
Don't
named.
even say it.
Our
Don't
kids
dig
have
that
named
hole.
Kiki Cat. Hey, Kiki Cat, you okay? What? I'm kidding. But they gotta make a movie. And maybe you guys are right, they should have never made it in the first place, but they didn't know it was gonna be that bad.
I mean, that's just my perception. I hate those kinds of movies with dogs.
agree
Dogs
with you.
thinking and having a voice.
You know what they should have said in the first place? K999!
Okay, so there's other animal-related news today that we should get to, so let's do that. All right. A comprehensive study regarding primates and how many of them are either facing extinction or are endangered actually confirms something that many have thought for a while now. The world's apes and monkeys are in danger of extinction, and in huge numbers. Now, about 60% of the Earth's non-human primate species, including apes, monkeys, gorillas, gibbons, and lemurs, are threatened with extinction, and about 75% have declining populations. Now, this has to do with a number of different factors. First of all, obviously the human population is expanding and expanding rapidly. So we're destroying their habitats. Climate change also plays a role. And so we got to come up with a solution, also hunting. So in the case of the Henan gibbon, a species of ape in China, fewer than 30 animals remain on the planet. The population of Grauer's gorilla fell from 17,000 in the mid-90s to around 3,800 today, mainly from hunting and mining. 22 out of the 26 primate species in China are endangered.
We are the virus. So, look, I'm a humanist and proud of it, even though Bill O'Reilly is against the humans and against the secular humanists like me. You know, when I was growing up, you'd see the Save the Whales bumper stickers, and I think, let's save us first, and then we'll get around to the whales, and we've got enough issues of our own. So I'm a bad guy in that sense. But this is deeply concerning, right? Mm-hmm. And so we are vicious little creatures. As much as I'm a fan of man, and we wipe out everything in our path. So, hey, we need to build skyscrapers. Sorry, you all gotta go, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Neanderthals, you're slightly inconvenient to us. We will murder all of you. You're gone, right? And we need to eat. We're gonna take you guys. I'm interested in a tusk because I think it looks kind of pretty. Elephants, you're screwed. And on and on and on we go. Look, even if we don't care about other living species on the planet, and we're greedy, which we are by nature, and not completely, right? It's balanced. We have a competitive side, we have a cooperative side. We need to figure out that balance better because we're going to destroy the earth and then we can't live on it.
What I also find really interesting is last year there was a lot of justified uproar and controversy regarding Harambe, and that was one animal. And I understand why there was an uproar. There was a video or visual component to it, and then there was also a very visual human component to it that angered people. Mm-hmm. But you have to look at the bigger picture and what's happening to this world and its ecosystem and the trends that we're experiencing. And so I'm not trying to discount what happened to Harambe, but Harambe is one animal. We're messing with the entire primate population at this very moment. And even if there's no, intriguing video component of it, it's very much real, and it's something that we need to do something about immediately, right now.
I know I keep using this example, but we're like the dwarves in Lord of the Rings. We can't stop digging. We're going to release the Balrog, but we keep on digging because we just need a little bit more gold, a little bit more gold. We just, some more material goods, and then we'll be happy. But hadn't happened yet. We're still not happy. We're still not satisfied, and we keep on digging. So we have got to find some degree of balance. I'm not overly living out here and saying we should let the animals run amok and bring a gorilla into your house, right? And I'm saying we got to make sure we protect our environment, the different species on this planet, and the planet overall. It's our house, and we're ripping it to shreds.
Yeah. All right, let's do some political news. This is dramsy. I don't know how I feel about it. All right. The Women's March against Donald Trump and his inauguration is set to take place not only on Inauguration Day, but also the Saturday after. Now, there is a little bit of a divide among women who do not support Trump. On one hand, you have extremely liberal or progressive women who believe in reproductive rights. And on the other hand, you have women who do consider themselves feminists, do consider themselves those who want to speak out against Trump, but are pro-life. And so as a result, this divide has led to a little bit of a controversy, and I'm not even quite sure where I stand on it. So one thing to keep in mind is that the Women's March is primarily funded and organized by Planned Parenthood and NARAL. Those are two organizations that are very much in favor of reproductive rights for women. Now, even so, women who are part of, let's say, anti-choice movements but still want to protest Trump feel like they're being disenfranchised, they're being excluded, and it kind of sucks. So on Monday, March organizers revoked so-called partnership status, a kind of official recognition for a Texas anti-abortion group called the New Wave Feminists. Now, I want to profile one woman that I think is really interesting. Her name is Maria Lyon. She's 23 years old and she's going to law school. She wants to fight for civil rights. That's what she wants to do as a lawyer, protect those who have been discriminated against in this country. However, she considers herself anti-choice. And so she wants to protest Trump, but she's like, I can't be at this march because I'm not really welcome there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that close a question. Now, that's like my opinion, man. Mm-hmm. And if you're, NARAL, you get to have your own opinion, and this is one of the issues that, of course, is so central to what you do that I can understand why they made this decision. Now, having said that, Of course I'd let them march. Now, I totally disagree with their position. If they don't want to have an abortion, well, God bless. That's what freedom is for. You make that choice. But you don't get to tell me what to do with my body, and I'm agnostic. So I don't care what your religious beliefs are at all. It's not science. And besides which, as I've said 1,000 times, God is pro-abortion. Read the Bible. You'll see he actually is in favor of it. So now, having said all of that, we're all Americans, and they're against Trump. You're against Trump. They're women. You're doing a women's march. You got to let them in.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing that kind of made me kind of question where I stood was because it is funded by Planned Parenthood. And so if Planned Parenthood doesn't want to have an official partner for this event that is anti-choice, I get that. I totally understand where they're coming from in that regard. But these women absolutely should be, welcome to go, take part in this, because here's the reality. I think one of the problems we have in the country is that a lot of us, regardless of where we stand politically or what our political affiliation is, have similarities. We have similar concerns, and we want to change the way the system works. And you don't change a system by honing in on the one thing that you might disagree on, because most people have things that they disagree on. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of differences of opinion, even within the same political group. And so I don't want to isolate people or not include people just because there's that one issue that we disagree on. Now, when Roe v. Wade was decided, the Supreme Court justices cited right to privacy in order to legalize abortion, okay? It's a constitutional right. And I also think exercising your First Amendment is a constitutional right. Now, I know we're not talking about the government going after these people and telling them that they can't be political, but I think that we should still value someone's free speech and have them take part in something where there are a lot of similarities between the two groups.
If somebody wants to vote with you or support you, you might want to just say yes. And so, look, I know that it's not an easy line to draw, and I'll tell you why. So, look, if we're having a disagreement over should the tax rate for the top income bracket be 35% or 39%, nobody's going to go to war over that. Like, we can have hearty disagreement, but you're not going to say that affects my identity in some way, or I can't stand you, right? But what if the women were alt-right and they were white supremacists? And they're like, we'd like to march, we're women, we're against Trump because we don't want him to grab our genitals, but we hate black people. Didn't you let him march?
It's hard, I get it, it's
right?
hard.
And then they say, well, look, I'm with you. I can't stand Trump. I want to be in your tent. Just don't put me next to the Latinos because I can't stand those, right? And fill in the blank. Or, you get it. That's a very difficult question. This is kind of in the middle because some people view this as make or break, central, right?
Yeah.
If you don't allow women to choose, I got no interest in you under any circumstance. I don't want your help. I don't want your support. I don't want your vote. I want you to go vote for the other guy. I don't care. I can't stand you, right? Let's go to war over this. And so it's not easy, but in my view, I'm not saying it's as simple as a couple of percentage points on taxes, but I would put that red line of where I can't work with these people ever pretty far out. When it gets to issues of race, religion, etc., that's where I might put it. But on an issue like this, where at least some people earnestly believe that it's a life, I don't agree with them, but they earnestly believe it and they want to help you, I'd let them help you.
Yeah. Look, at this point, anyone who wants to fight to defeat Trump is a friend of mine, right? And so we might disagree on specific policy ideas, and I will fight them on those policy ideas when they come up. But in the moment being, we need to do away with this Trump guy. So.
Okay. Be gone.
Yes.
All right. You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's take a break. Before we go, guess what we're going to check in on? And you're going to be shocked at what we're going to check.
Is it the fundraiser?
Oh, how did you know? Okay. 984,354. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. You know what? If somebody names Studio B right now, boom, we're already at 1 million.
Damn, name it.
Name it. Just name it, and the problem will go away. In this case, actually, it's literal. If you name it, the problem of having to hire the reporters will go away. You'll have solved it. That's your one opportunity. Right-wingers, where are you? Okay. Name the desk for $10K. Endow a chair for $5K. Everybody who comes in the studio will see it. Endow a camera for $5K. TYTnetwork.com/go. They say that it won't happen. Wrong, it will happen. I think one person already did it. We'll tell you more when we come back.
Welcome to the Control Room, exclusive members coverage of 2IT postgame live from Rebel headquarters in sunny Los Angeles. So Jason, the air is electric after yesterday's postgame.
He's talking about Miami. You know, the only thing about this, Jason, is we've heard the Miami stories. I'm looking at Kasperian's interest here. She's giving him the cordial glance to the side, but I just don't know if it's really there.
Oh, that's where the vagina is.
Okay, that joke landed like Apollo 13 there, and then Kasperian gives him the courtesy laugh, gives him the Edwin wave.
Had you had sex at that point when you took that class?
Anyways, so...
Hold on a minute. He's found an opening. Is he finding his way to come back, Jason? Unbelievable! Jake Kruger coming back with a comment. No one would have seen this coming.
And he's in the mood, and there's some music in the background. He's got the sideburns, he's got the long hair in her 30s.
He won't fan himself. There's no way he's ready to... I mean, I've expected...
She's like, well, that was something.
He's got it.
Okay.
It's unbelievable.
Every dog has its day, and this dog is having the best day of his damn life.
That was an outstanding postgame. If tonight's postgame is anything like last night's, we were in for another
Exactly right, Francis. And don't forget to check out the TYT postgame after the Young Turks every weekday on tytnetwork.com/memberslive.
Okay. Smooth writes, and it sounds like the drama from the suffragette marches on a much smaller scale. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point by Smooth. This has happened before in history. And Matt Diedrich says, go TYT Army, too strong. Agreed there, Matt. Referring to, of course, how the fundraising is going for the reporters. Jeremy Kohler writes, and yeah, where are the movies that express dog culture and values? Hashtag altdog. And Julie from TYT wrote in and said in the Philippines there was a film entry to an annual movie festival that was pulled because 2 dogs were killed for a scene.
Yeah, okay.
So that everybody is very clear on, 100% against.
Yeah, look, and I remember getting criticized because I just brought this up once, but there are countries that
eat dogs,
you know? And so
I don't know why you're criticized. That's a fact.
It's a fact. Maybe because I wasn't like excited or happy about it. You know, I was a little critical, but I get it. We have different cultures.
Wait, we have to get excited by that?
Yeah.
Like, so we have to be super mad if a dog takes a shower, but we have to be open-minded that you can butcher and eat dogs.
It is an interesting double standard.
It's really,
yeah.
We live in a crazy world. Anyways, Jenks Conscious writes in, Someone literally now has a Twitter handle, Jenks Conscience. And Jenks Conscience wrote in, inconvenient truth, when the terrified dog is forced underwater, it's basically being waterboarded for entertainment. Ah, Conscience, that's a good point.
Oh my God, Charlie.
Okay, I can't take it. Anyway, Rita Ann says, I won't be watching any inauguration coverage.
Oh, come on, Rita Ann.
Wrong. You will, Rita. There's nothing to celebrate unless you enjoy watching the death of America. That's not the point, Rita Ann. We're going to make fun of him. Okay, if you watch it on CNN and they're like, oh, there he is, the president-elect. Whoa, Donald Trump, oh, what a historic, wonderful moment for Orange Americans, right?
I mean, if you tune into CNN right now, they already have footage of his empty podium.
So don't do that, but come here, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., tytnetwork.com/live. We're going to tell you, we're going to give you, Michael Schur's going to give you the historical context of inaugurations. We're going to go through Tippecanoe and Tyler, too. We're going to talk about his picks for his administration. We're going to give you all the context and probably rip him to shreds. So definitely come here and watch it. Now, let me give you last piece of donors here, or maybe second to last. Janie from Maryland, $127. Maritza from California, $250. Mai from Georgia, $250. So Mai, Maritza, Janie, we love you guys. Can I see tytnetwork.com/go and see where we are? $985,090. Only $15,000 to go. You name the desk after yourself, or maybe your kids, I don't know, or maybe after a loved one, okay? Name the desk, this one, the high one. Name a camera. A desk and a camera were there.
It's better than naming someone after a star. That was a scam.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember those?
Yeah. Whereas we will actually put you, Jamie, Brian Weissman's, Diana Francisco's 241 crew. Your names are still on the cameras. Nick Weil, you don't believe me. They don't believe me, Anna.
They don't believe.
Well, watch this.
Literally behind you.
Okay, hold. The Nick Weil chair. Okay, it's been there for 3 years.
Are you wiling out?
Okay. Every day I come and sit in this chair. Nick gave a great donation to help build the studio. And we thought of the chair thing at the last second. He's the only one who did it, so it's the only chair we did. And Nick, everybody's seen your name. So do it now for a great cause, which is watchdog journalism. And let us unleash these investigative reporters. tytnetwork.com/go. All right, what's next?
All right. Men and women throughout the country will be marching to protest the inauguration of Donald Trump. It's referred to as the Women's March, and it will not only take place on Inauguration Day, but the Saturday after. People are still planning on getting together in various cities throughout the U.S. Now, interestingly enough, police have decided that while they will wear their body cams, they will not turn their body cams on as they're policing these protests. Now, there is an interesting twisty twist to the story. The ACLU actually agrees with police not using their body cams. Now, let's see why. Let's go to graphic number 9. From the very beginning, the question about body cameras is, will they actually be serving as an oversight mechanism to help reduce police or abuse by police officers, or are they going to become just another surveillance tool that serves the interests of law enforcement? Now, that is actually an ACLU policy analyst, a senior policy analyst. And so the ACLU is trying to balance the issue of, holding cops accountable for their actions and people's privacy.
Yeah, so the ACLU is super important, and I agree with them on at least 80% of the issues. And on the issues I agree with them, I think it's critical that they're around and do the good work that they do. But I do believe that sometimes they go overboard. So I think this is one of them. They're overthinking it. No, the main problem isn't that they're like, oh, you're at the Trump inauguration and protesting. Like, people, they're out in public, right? The main problem is if cops do something to the protesters. Like, there's a reason why we have body cams, and if you turn them off, that lets the cops know, go house. You think the cops want to turn it off because they're concerned about your civil liberties? No, they want to turn it off because it's going to be hard. They think it's going to be hard, to be fair to them, hard to control the crowd. And so sometimes they're going to have to, go a little further to control the crowd, they think, and they don't want you to see that. ACLU, you're way overthinking this. So, by the way, the other things they go overboard on is they think, oh, it's money in politics is freedom. You should be free to bribe politicians.
It's a freedom of speech thing.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah,
No,
which
it's
of
not.
course we
It's
disagree with.
Preposterous.
Okay, so let me give you a little tidbit of info that might change your mind. Okay, because I was 100% with you until I heard this part of it. Okay.
Go.
One danger is that police can run images obtained during a peaceful protest through facial recognition software, so they could identify nearly everyone who attended. Over 117 million people are in a facial recognition database that police in many states have access to. So the concern is that they are going to collect intelligence on these individuals who are very vocally against Trump and maybe use it against them later. But this was the only thing that really raised a red flag for me. And then I thought about something. Look, the NSA already has a ton of compromising information on pretty much everyone, right? And so if the government wants to use that information against us, to intimidate us, to discourage us to be politically active, oh, they're going to do it. They already have what it takes. So I agree with you. I think it's way more important to have evidence of what's actually occurring in terms of policing than to worry so much about facial recognition technology and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm not trying to get at the cops in Washington. I was arrested in Washington during civil disobedience in Democracy Spring, protesting money in politics. And the cops were very decent to me. They accidentally gave me a nickname. They said, hey, do you go by any nicknames? Because they ask everybody they arrest. I'm like, yes, of course, El Jefe. And they wrote it down, so now it's official. Cenk Uygur, a.k.a. El Jefe.
Oh, my God.
Anyways, and some of the cops, as I did the paperwork on the next day, were like, hey, Young Turks, I watched the show. So I'm not trying to get at you. But right now, is the bigger issue in America registries of protesters or police abuse? Macro picture, overall, it's police abuse. That's why we have the body cams in the first place. If the bigger issue becomes police surveilling us through those body cameras, well, then that's a new fact pattern, and then we'll have to reconsider. But that's not where we are today. So that's why I wouldn't turn them off. And the second part of this is that I feel like Trump's already in our heads. Like, people are already starting to wig out, like, but what if he takes the videos? First of all, he's not that competent, right? Like, oh my God, assign someone to figure out who came to the protest? It'll take months for him to do that, right? Anyway, but in all seriousness, like, everybody's paranoid. And I'm not saying that Trump's not going to do bad things, but in fact, we have watchdog journalists who are ready to share that with you, to figure it out and to reveal it. But don't get so jittery that, like, I'm worried about a protest, and let's turn the body cameras off and overreact before things happen, because you're going to overreact in the wrong direction. I want everybody to go to the protest.
I do.
I want the cops to have the body cameras on so they act responsibly. That's not a bad thing. So, and I get ACLU to do their job, but in this case, I think they're wrong.
Okay. All right, let's move on to some very good news. A Muslim-run clinic in Orlando, Florida will offer free health care to individuals who are living in poverty. Now, this was done by the American Muslim Community Center, and what they want to do is ensure that people who live in Central Florida will have access to health care even if they're extremely poor. Now, they say our goal is to serve humanity, no strings attached, everyone is welcome. We have over 40 physicians who come to our mosque, and we have 11 of them signed up to volunteer here, so we are very, very blessed. So Kate Santic for the Orlando Sentinel wrote about this, and I want to give her some props because I think this is the type of story that should get some attention. This is actually not the only Muslim-run clinic in the country that is offering free health care to those who are disadvantaged. This is happening in several other areas as well, including Maryland, South Carolina, California. So it's good news. And I actually gave her a call because I was curious to see what the reaction was to a Muslim-run clinic, especially after I read the quote about them referring to it as a mosque. And everyone's in favor of it. She says that it hasn't gotten any negative reaction, no Islamophobia. I'm really, really happy about that. Yeah.
So, unfortunately, in news, you oftentimes have to cover things that go wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So you'll cover cases of Islamophobia or anti-Semitism or racism, etc., because something terrible or tragic has happened. But it's great to see that on a day-to-day basis, Muslims helping their fellow Americans, and and get appreciation in return, and we should cover that as well. So now I love this idea for another reason. Now, in fighting back against fundamentalist Islam and terrorism abroad, my idea has always been there's many different layers to it: better intelligence, better targeting, etc. But also, let's go back to being the good guys, and because if the local population is on our side, they will root out those weeds, as opposed to helping the people on the ground if they're not on our side.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I feel like it's common sense, right? You have to be pretty slow not to understand that if you demonize an entire population of people, well, it's easy for radicals to radicalize them.
Yeah, so what I want the rest of the world to think, not just the Muslim world, but they're more relevant because of the situation in Syria and across the world these days because of current events, but that when they see an American helicopter, I want people to think, great, the good guys are here. Right now, I got news for you. That's not what people think when an American helicopter or a drone is in the air or a fighter, right? And I think if we turn that around, it is going to be enormously beneficial, not just to the rest of the world, but to us. So now I tell you all of that because the reverse also applies to Muslims. So if you're a Muslim American and you've got image issues here, and it's not your fault, you didn't do anything wrong, but and the right wing's been smearing you, etc. Well, then do this so that when Americans see a Muslim, they think help is on the way.
Yeah.
Right? That is a great idea. So it's true for both sides. Be unusually and unnecessarily kind. Be gratuitously decent to one another. And so I think this is as good an idea as I have seen. I'm going to needlessly amp it up and go, imagine if Planned Parenthood's funding is cut. And Muslim Americans say, we got your back. Either they set up clinics or they help Planned Parenthood. I'm not talking about the abortion issue. Put that aside, right?
Yeah.
Because people are going to have religious views on that, whether they're Christian or Muslim, etc. I'm saying on all the breast cancer screenings, the health care, the contraception, all that stuff, if Muslims said, we're here to help.
Right.
I mean, how wonderful a message would that send? And so I think that they started something here, and I hope it spreads, and this is how we come together as a country. So wonderful job.
All right, moving on to some other good news. A Pakistani pop star stopped his concert after he noticed that there was a woman being sexually harassed near the front row. And he did what he could to save her while also reprimanding those who were harassing her. Now, this is Atif Aslam, and the concert was happening in Karachi, Pakistan. We do have video of what happened, courtesy of Huffington Post. So let's take a quick look at that, and I'll give you more details.
एक सेकेंड तुमने कभी लड़की देखी है तुम्हारी माँ बहन भी हो सकती है यहाँ पे हाँ come on Omar rescue her तमीज से एंजॉय करोगे शो तो लंबा होगा शो नहीं तो जल्दी करना होगा ठीक है इंसान का बच्चा बन
So while he was reprimanding them, he also said, have you ever seen a girl before? And enjoy the concert with discipline. It will be a long show, otherwise it will finish soon.
He said your mother or sister could have been here as well. Okay, I know he didn't do it for PR. It's enormously authentic. He saw her in the front row, etc. But that is the best PR move I've ever seen. Every girl is going to love him for that.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole world's talking about it. And by the way, okay, so it turned out great for him. Hey, look at that. You do good deeds, good results come, right? Now, everybody's talking about what a decent guy he is. And secondly, it's not that hard, is it? So he sees a girl being manhandled.
Yeah.
And he decides to help her. We could all do that. It's not that hard.
What's interesting to me is, look, it wasn't until 2016 that Pakistan finally did something about, or at least passed laws protecting women, right? Because before that, there weren't many laws on the books. And so it's interesting to me that, certain cultures, and you don't have to respect every culture, I certainly don't respect this, I guess minimize the importance of women or the safety of women so much that someone would be brazen enough to publicly molest, harass, sexually assault someone at a concert, right? And I love that he spoke out against it. Now, that woman, unfortunately, wasn't the only victim. Local reports say that many other females were victimized during the concert. According to Pakistani news, the venue was crowded with trespassers, and many women in attendance were harassed and molested by men throughout the show. So obviously they have to go a long way in changing what goes on in protecting women. But I love that you have a public figure in Pakistan who took a stand.
You know, as you were saying that, I thought, oh no, I hope this doesn't backfire and some Neanderthals now, hate him or target him or whatever. Look, this is a problem in a lot of parts of the world. Of course, right next to Pakistan is India. And they share some of the culture and don't share others. They have different religion, obviously, although there's a ton of Muslims in India as well. But in India, they had the issue with rape and the molestations on the buses and in public areas. And then a lot of folks rose up and began to demand change. That has also begun in Pakistan. We hope that picks up steam. And it's heroes like this that help change the culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, look, I don't mean this in a political way. I just mean, by nature, conservatives like things the way they are, right? They like heritage, they like tradition, etc. And I'm nostalgic, so that part of me is conservative. So it's not like I don't understand you. But not everything in the past was great. And not everything that's part of your heritage is great, or that's part of your culture is great. Now, when you talk about culture, it touches people's identity, so they get really sensitive about that. What do you mean? My culture is great. How dare you insult my culture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that a million times.
Yeah, well, there are certain components of your culture that suck. And in this case, again, considering the fact that Pakistan didn't criminalize violence against women till last year, that's a component of the culture that sucks.
Yeah, and so it's not to pick on any one culture. So, there's obviously the female genital mutilation that happens in mainly Africa, but in some other parts of the world as well. There is the kidnappings that happen in Central Asia.
Yeah.
So it's old nomadic tradition that if you want to marry a woman, you go kidnap her, rape her, and then her parents come and talk her into marrying you.
That's right.
So now that is part of the old school culture. I know where it came from, I understand it, and I can't stand it.
Also, honor killings are part of Pakistani culture. In rural parts of Pakistan.
Right, and it doesn't mean that everybody in Pakistan does it. It doesn't mean everybody in Kyrgyzstan kidnaps and rapes women, okay? But it does mean that there are things to fix, and that the way that you fix it isn't just necessarily by yelling at people or et cetera. It's just by doing the right thing. And so people see what Atif Aslam did here, and then he serves as a role model to some degree, and maybe it has a ripple effect, and someone else does it, and someone else does it, until voila, we fixed a part of the culture. I hope so, right? So it's a beginning. We're not anywhere near that end. But whether it's the South Asian subcontinent or many other parts of the world, there's a long way to go in respecting women. We're not asking for that much. Just don't sexually assault them while they're in public. We'll work on other stuff later.
Yeah.
It's really, really not too much to ask for. Okay. We are out of time. And
I just want to note for the record that when I am leading both hours, we do almost every single story that has been produced for this show.
She would like to note it for the record, okay? So the record has noted it, and we have finished on time. Until, of course, I tell you, okay, first off, guys, we do have a wonderful post game for you guys today for the members. And we shot a great old school last night. That's also for the members. And tonight, a special hour and a half aggressive progressive. Now, it starts at 9 o'clock Eastern, right? But members get the whole show. tytnetwork.com/join. Become a member, get all of that, right? Now, let me go to the donors. $27. Oh, 989,000. Almost at $1 million, but you saved me because I'm not ready. So at least I don't have to announce it today. But very, very, very likely at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, as soon as we start the inauguration show, we will have to make the announcement. Pins meet needles. Okay. Okay. $27 from Maria in New York. $127 from Ishik in New York. Lots of New York here. Lucio from Texas. Texas also representing $127. We love you all. Thank you for participating. And one last note, as I said, tomorrow is the big, big day. Tell everybody, make sure you're watching. Keep watching throughout the day. If you got to travel, watch it on your phone, watch it on your iPad, watch it on your TV. tytnetwork.com/live, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Special inauguration show where we will tell you all the terrible things Trump's going to do. Okay, we'll see you in the postgame. Bye-bye.